The smarter you are, the easier it is to fall behind. There's a quiet moment most smart people keep missing. It doesn't happen when they fail. It doesn't happen when they slow down. It happens when they keep preparing. When they're researching one more angle, when they're considering every variable, when they're making sure they get it exactly right. And the strange part, the more intelligent you are, the deeper this trap is set. Because what looks like careful thinking on the surface is often silent momentum loss underneath. Most people focus on effort. Work harder, push more, try again. The real lever is constraint. And here's why you keep missing it. Chapter 1. The hidden processing loop. The system responds to intelligence in a very specific way. At the hardware level, your brain treats open possibilities like unfinished tasks. It keeps scanning, evaluating, optimizing, which sounds useful until it isn't. Because when options stay wide open, your nervous system never gets the signal to commit energy forward, so you stay in analysis mode. Not stuck, just circling. Almost everyone who feels behind is actually overprocessing decisions that were never meant to stay open this long. Here's the thing. Momentum doesn't come from thinking better. It comes from removing options earlier than feels comfortable. And smart people hate doing that, because closing options feels like losing flexibility. But biologically, your brain reads it differently. It reads constraint as safety to move. Let me say that differently. When your choices stay unlimited, your system stays cautious. When your choices narrow, your system releases forward energy. That's the first crack in the pattern. Chapter 2. The smart person's delay trap. Watch what happens in a typical planning moment. You open your laptop. You start mapping possibilities. You research one more angle. It feels productive, but notice this. You're not reacting to the task. You're reacting to the possibility of choosing wrong. That internal narrator gets loud right here, and smart people listen to it more than anyone because you can see more variables, more outcomes, more edge cases. So your brain keeps the decision window open just a little longer, then a little longer. Meanwhile, someone with fewer mental branches, they close the loop faster. They move, they build momentum. Not because they're sharper, because they constrained earlier. Straight talk. Intelligence increases processing power, but momentum increases through limitation. If this tracks, hit like. It confirms this insight lands, because what happens next determines everything. Chapter 3. The idling engine effect. Here's what happens after too many options stay open. Your system starts leaping forward energy. Think about a car sitting in neutral. The engine's running, fuel is burning, but you're going nowhere. Not broken, just waiting for engagement. Your brain works almost the same way. When decisions stay partially open, your cognitive system stays in low power mode, waiting, monitoring, not fully engaging. Wait, that's not quite right. It's worse than waiting. It's quietly draining motivation while pretending to stay productive, because you're still thinking, still planning, still refining, but the execution engine never fully activates. And over months, even years, that creates the feeling smart people know too well. Why am I not further ahead? Not because you lack ability, because you've been sitting in neutral while burning fuel. But here's what's worse. Chapter 4. The constraint ignition framework. Most people stop at the diagnosis. Don't. We need something practical here, not motivation, a mechanism. Call this the constraint ignition framework. 3 parts: simple, sharp, and memorable. 1. Early closure. Close one option sooner than feels perfect, not randomly, deliberately. Your nervous system needs a signal that exploration is ending. Almost everyone waits too long here. Close it now. 2. Visible commitment. Make the decision externally visible. Write it, schedule it, announce it, because internally held decisions still feel reversible to your brain. External signals increase follow-through pressure. 3. Momentum protection. Once movement starts, resist reopening the decision window. This is where smart people quietly sabotage themselves. They revisit, reevaluate, re-optimize, and the energy drops again. Notice this pattern. People who move fastest aren't always the most capable. They're the ones who protect constraint the longest. Chapter 5. Where momentum actually forms. When was the last time you made a decision faster than felt comfortable? Not reckless, just decisive. Most intelligent people delay that moment because precision feels safer than movement. But here's what I've seen again and again. Momentum forms at the edge of constraint. Not effort, not motivation, constraint. Here's the quiet mechanism most people miss. Your brain allocates serious forward energy only after it detects reduced uncertainty. Until then, it stays conservative, efficient, careful, which looks smart in the short term but compounds slowly over time. Actually, let me clarify. This isn't about thinking less. It's about deciding when thinking is complete. That distinction changes everything. Because smart people rarely lack answers, they delay closure, and the system keeps waiting. How many tabs do you have open right now? Not on your computer, in your mind. Comment below. Chapter 6. The gentle reframe. The system responds differently when you stop measuring yourself against speed. Smart people often compare output timelines. Bad metric. Because your real bottleneck was never effort, it was open-loop thinking. Here's the reframe that matters. You're not behind. You've been running with too many active tabs open in your cognitive system. Close a few and watch what happens to your forward motion. Hear me on this. Intelligence is raw processing power. Momentum is constraint applied at the right moment. Different levers, different outcomes. People who master this stop feeling quietly stuck. They start feeling directional again. And that shift compounds fast. Chapter 7. Pattern frame. Most people will hear this and keep every option open, just in case. And 6 months from now, the pattern will look exactly the same. But people who start closing loops earlier, even slightly earlier, create a very different trajectory. Not overnight, but inevitably. Because forward motion favors the constrained mind. External fixes won't rewire this. The adjustment point is yours. While you keep every option open, the clock keeps running. Close a door, any door, and watch what happens. If this gave language to something you've been sensing but couldn't explain, hit like. Comment constraint if this pattern felt familiar. I read every one. And subscribe for insights that rewire patterns. Because the next layer most smart people miss is even less visible.